This might be really interesting to you guys. Have you ever heard of modulating? Have you ever heard of
No.
that? Okay. So I just like in the last few months have just realized that this is one of the ways that I still abandon myself. And it's like, I have something to say, or like I have a truth to bring forward or something, and I'm not dishonest and I'm not authentic. It's just not coming out fully authentic. So it's like I have this truth to say, but instead of just saying it and it piercing you, I will adjust it slightly, 1 degree off center, and soften it so that it lands better in your nervous system.
Okay. Yeah, we know what that is.
Oh shit. Right? Okay. So I started noticing myself
I'm really
doing
good
this.
at that.
Oh, me too. I'm so good at it. I bet you you're as good at it as me, because here's what my people said to me whenever I told them this. I was like, so it's like sometimes like if I know someone is overwhelmed, I'll like hold back in my delivery and I'll soften it a bit because I don't want to overwhelm them even more. Or if I know something is really sensitive for someone, like I'll bring it up, but I'll do it in an indirect way instead of a direct way or something like that. And I was telling my friends this, who are my chosen family, and they were like, Lindsey, that just sounds like empathy and compassion and kindness. Like if you know someone's overwhelmed and you adjust your delivery so that it overwhelms them less, like that sounds like a really kind thing to do. And in the moment when I was telling them this, I was kind of getting frustrated because I was like, but it's not coming from me being kind. Like I'm not trying to be so kind that I'm adjusting my delivery. I'm like afraid that if I don't adjust my delivery, I'm going to get left, or I'm going to get judged, or I'm going to get criticized or something. And they just like weren't getting it, and they weren't getting it. And finally I went home later and I was just thinking about it and kind of feeling misunderstood, but not because they weren't trying to understand. They were, but I was still feeling misunderstood. And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, because it lands for them the same way. It lands for them as compassion and empathy, even though that's not the energy I'm in whenever it's delivered. So it's like, if I'm softening a truth because I care so much about you and it feels authentic and like the most loving and compassionate thing to do for me to adjust my delivery, that's authentic. That's not self-abandonment. But if I modulate the delivery to be less, to be softer, because I'm afraid if I don't, you're going to leave me, that's when it's self-abandonment. But for you, it lands the same way either way. Right? Like you don't know. And this is like the layer that I'm currently working on. And so I was telling my best friend about it and I was like, I totally do this with you. And she was like, oh, I know you do. And sometimes you ask me a lot of questions and I can tell that you're like trying to get somewhere. And I'm like, yeah. And then you get really overwhelmed by my questions and you get short and kind of snippy with me. And she's like, yeah, we do that. So I was like, okay, so what do you think we could do in the moment? Because like, I think I do this with you like all the time. And she was like, I don't know. And I said, how about if I just like name it when I'm doing it? What if I'm just like, I'm modulating for you right now? And she's like, that would be fine. That would be totally okay. So that's what we've worked out in our relationships. I don't know if that answers your question or people
high five you so much. I'm like, that's awesome. I just like totally want to high five you. I love
Thanks.
that.
I feel like this is a life hack.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the way to move through life is just be like, hey, this is what my inner voice is saying. And just communicating it so clearly and then being like, is this what's really happening? Because we can relate so much to all of it.
And I love that you're like taking in the friend circle. Like we're really good at doing this with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're really good.
I feel like we are.
I feel like I modulate with you all the time.
Well, I love you and I hope you can start calling it out. And I do modulate totally with you too. But what we're
implementing this one immediately. Be like, baby, I'm modulating right now. Right? I'm modulating.
What I'm referring to is all the ways that we have all these words that we bring up.
Yeah.
Like, well, we have like a whole acronym encyclopedia, different words of what we have that's our
two of us
codes to each other. Mm-hmm. Like even like we have like, I'm having a BMM. We're not having a shit. We're having a body memory moment. It's like nice. My body's remembering it this way. And my body feels like this is happening. So it's triggering my nervous system. And I'm afraid that this is what's happening because something got my body remembering this emotion. And I don't know the difference at this moment. So we communicate that. I love that. I haven't thought of like having that language. I'm still learning the friends. I'm still like really allowing that space to build. I haven't felt safe there yet, but I'm now I've got some women in my life that are just phenomenal. And I'm so excited as we're building these relationships. And one of them's like, they're still new-ish. One of them's really new, but they're still like, we're not long time established, even though we've got some time. Mm-hmm. And it didn't like, I keep watching myself on how I show up. I keep watching, like, I want to show up authentically. I want to show up as me. And when I start to attach meaning to things, I like self-analyze, and I'm like, okay, that's probably not. Sometimes I spiral out. I'm like, they hate me. I have this thing, but I'm really watching how I'm responding, and I'm making it a one-person job and being like, these are my feelings. I'm reading this wrong, instead of being like, hey, why don't I incorporate this language with some of my friends? Like I'm having a BMM right now, and this is what this is feeling like. It didn't occur to me to do that. I'm like, this is my responsibility. Fix it in-house.
I love that you framed it, Lindsey, around self-abandonment.
Yes.
Like looking at it from that perspective of like, okay, these are the ways that I'm abandoning myself. Mm-hmm. I've got this, like everything that you've been talking about. To me, it's the reparenting process, because a big chunk of what our healing has looked like is just inner child work, going back and sitting with those parts of us and healing those wounds and hearing those parts and allowing the space for those parts to be seen, validated, loved, over and over and over and over and over again. And in the process of doing that, learning all of these healthy coping mechanisms, learning all of these ways to communicate and express emotion. So it's this beautiful reparenting process of all of these little wounded parts of ourselves. And so much of what you've shared and talked about, I can relate to so much, but then it's also like the beauty of, this is what I love about like listening to other people, and why I think podcasts are so profoundly, impactful and beneficial, because you're framing it in such a way where like a lot of the things that you're talking about, we've heard before, we've, thought about before, or that we've practiced before, but it's just like a slight little shift in the perspective that you're doing it, and a change. And it's just like, oh my God, brand new awareness of like, this is so huge. Like just the opportunity to be able to speak because literally yesterday, I've been going over this whole process internally within myself in regards to a friend of mine, where it's this internal dialogue that I'm struggling with because I'm doing all the things that you just talked about. I'm trying to figure out how to like solve what's going on in the relationship between the two of us, which are all of these like massively self-produced anxieties that I've created that don't really exist. And instead of being able to just like articulate that in a clear, concise way, it comes out as this clusterfucky kind of like something's off, even though there might necessarily, like there is something kind of like not jiving to a certain extent, but at the same time, the majority of it was just internal stuff inside of me that I was really struggling with, that was getting in the way. And I can think so much about too with our relationship, where that's a lot of what's taking place, is it's like the internal struggle that I'm having to process things through and with is getting in the way of our relationship, where it's creating disconnect and distance. And so this is really wonderful, Lindsey. I'm just so incredibly happy that you're on the podcast, that you're speaking the things that you're saying. It's just really impactful and wonderful. So
I'm curious, like you're saying that you're having this internal experience that's like maybe unprocessed, and then it's like bleeding into the relationship, or like, and you kind of alluded to it too, Steph, where you were saying with your friends that you're kind of like, it never occurred to me to say this stuff out loud because I feel like I'm supposed to be doing it internally. And to me, it sounds like both of you are saying something very similar, which is that part of being healed is how much of this can I do by myself? And that's not real. We'll make it out and fall in love tonight.
Thanks for listening to The Steph Craig Show. There's new episodes of The Steph Craig Show every week. And if you're resonating with our podcast, please take a moment to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with somebody. And be sure to check out some of these clips as well. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you all next week. Expect the best, plan for the greatest.